Good evening, everybody. How are you? It is Thursday evening. It is 7 o'clock, and it's Content and Cocktails. It is a sweltering day today, and I am stuck in my little study here. So I may officially be the hottest, sweatiest person alive. It's true. There's a horrible image for you to start off with. So, what is this? Why do we do this? Why do I do this week in, week out? Well, Content and Cocktails is a weekly deep dive into all things video marketing. And it is all about helping you get better with video in all sorts of different ways. And I don't just do it sitting here talking. I will mix myself a drink. And this evening, I will be drinking an Americano, which is a perfect drink for an evening like this. The Americano is a mix of equal parts Campari and equal parts red vermouth, and interestingly enough, it is the first ever cocktail that James Bond drinks in the first ever James Bond novel, Casino Royale. So there we go. It is officially a classy drink. It's a very nice drink. It's not too boozy, but you can either make it with Campari or an aperitivo. And today, that's my cocktail for today. Hello, Mike. How you doing? I can see Mike's here. Today I will be mixing that cocktail, but I will also be talking about filming locations, how you can make your video content look more appealing based on where you film. So, as always, if you've got any questions at all about video of any kind, do just chuck them in the comments, whether you're watching here in our free group, Grow Your Business with Video with Tom Stanhope. If you're not a member, join. It's very good. I promise you, you'll get lots of value from it. It's free and rather good. If you are watching on my personal feed, hello. If you're watching on my business feed, hello. If you're watching in the unlikely event that you're watching on Periscope on Twitter, hello. And the same for Twitch. Hello there. So I will mix a drink without further ado. I had a bit of an ice crisis today, which is I've been trying to get ice from somewhere and I left it too late to put it in the freezer. So thankfully I found some I did find some ice in the freezer, but whether it's in its first flush, I don't know. So I've just got a little tumbler, a few shards of ice, and you see I've got aperitivo and Campari here, and so it's a cocktail from the 1870s, I think, and it was designed as something a little less kind of punchy than a Negroni, or a Campari and sort of, or a sort of a gin and it, or something like that, and it's a little bit sweeter, so it's not quite as kind of as hard on the kind of the bitters as other ways to it. And if you use aperitivo, it's a little bit sweeter. I think I'm going to go with aperitivo on the first one and then come to the Campari one. So it's a equal measure of each. So I'm going to put a measure of aperitivo. Mike, you're a man who needs to get with the program. Campari is in. Negronis, they're cool. Well, they certainly were about 5 years ago. But I like it. I like a bitter drink. I'm not a bitter man, but I do like a bitter drink. Bicicletas are where it's at. A nice aperitif drink, and a bit of fizz, a bit of Campari. I lived in Venice for a while, and obviously a lot of Campari was drunk there. There we go. Cheers. A little bit of a stir. So there we go. A little bit of cocktail history. How you doing, Scott? Cheers. Scott, have you seen the new trailer for Dune that's out today? Oh man, I cannot wait for that movie. It's going to be so good. Right, so like always, if you've got any questions at all around anything around video, or just anything in general, just fire them at me. How long I will last this evening? Yeah, go and look at it now. It's really, really good. It's great. In fact, it looks amazing. It's the full-length trailer, and it kind of, I think he's done a good job. I cannot, September. That's when it's out. So locations. Here we go. For live video or pre-recorded stuff, one of the things I often get asked about is where do I film it? And you will see an awful lot of really boring locations in videos. And I think we have to remember that, video is it's not about telling, it's about showing as much as anything else. And having video as part of your marketing means that you have the ability to show people things and create a mood and create a visual identity. And so if you are thinking about the way things look behind you and the locations you choose, you can moderate mood and the kind of the messaging that you're putting out there. And so very often you'll see videos kind of being shot against a white background, and it's kind of a bit, people play it safe. They will think, I need to make this kind of look sort of easy and straightforward, and sometimes it'll just be shot against a white background, and that can be fine, but it can also be incredibly boring. I like using a white background in a proper studio setting. If you can control the light and if you've got a big enough backdrop, you can actually create some really nice sort of clean, simple video. But very often, if we're using white backdrops in our own kind of settings, it's because we are perhaps not experimenting with the full range of possibilities of location. Is that sort of making sense? So what do I mean by this? So take this background from it. My background is not necessarily the world's tidiest or the world's kind of most exotic, but I have tried to make it interesting. You can see there's a bit of depth to it. I've got as in depth of field, there's stuff going on behind me that is broadly appropriate, if not a little bit technologically outdated. So we've got a VHS tape, we've got a Super 8 camera, and we've got some old film stock. But it's a bit of visual interest. Imagine if it was this just on a white background. I think there would be a very different feel to this video if it was just me against a white background. I don't think it'd be that interesting. I don't think people would stick around. You've got to make your content easy to watch, and easy to watch can sometimes mean visually interesting as opposed to just having good content. Like, content could be, absolutely perfect, spot on every time, and if I was shooting it against a white background, I'd still lose viewers because of the lack of visual interest. We are creatures of very short attention spans, particularly around video content, unless it's something we are absolutely compelled to watch or have a kind of burning desire to see. Then you will really, I think you'll struggle to keep people as easily as you would perhaps against a sort of a live background. Now, Scott, I know your live background has kind of evolved, and you've got that really nice space that you use for your lives. You've got that shelving behind you which has been lit. Scott, you're back. Doesn't it look absolutely sensational? Also, the new trailer for Foundation is out as well. There are some, if you are into your sci-fi, which I am, and I want to vouch for Scott and say that he is also. There are some fabulous big productions coming up by really, really accomplished directors. We do need a geek show again. But Dune is one of those books that I devoured and saw in my mind's eye so clearly as a teenager when I first read it, and watched David Lynch's Dune, which is a highly flawed movie, but visually just stunning. And now, oh God, I can never remember the director's name. It drives me bonkers. You'll remind me in a second, Scott. The director who's put together this amazing cast and this amazing, visually. If we're talking about the ability to craft a visual, go and check the Dune trailer out. It looks sensational. Scott says, I'm actually building my background for a live keynote on a stage next week. Wow. So is that a background you're building in your space, or is that being built at a stage for you in a different location? How's that working? Tell me about that. Because this is it. So Scott is a highly accomplished and well-renowned professional speaker, and Denis Villeneuve. Yes, thank you. There we go. The director, Dune, Denis Villeneuve. Check it out. And he has moved by necessity, as all of us have, has kind of found his business shifting dramatically. And so the need to use online, it's a live video as a way to present all pre-recorded video has featured heavily in your business, hasn't it? Yeah, I'd be really interested to see that. But it's a great case in point that the stage on which you are could be, it can be this room. This room is a filthy pit, it's kind of, you can see a little bit of it, but it looks broadly tidy in effect, and but it works as a space to broadcast from, and it feels in my idiom somewhat. So you want your space to augment what you're saying, but also be sort of on brand. So we have to think about the space you're in. So here's a couple of common faults common mistakes that get made, and perhaps some solutions to them. So very often you'll see a camera set up with the speaker, whoever that may be, in a live or whatever, or a pre-recorded video, set against a white wall, and there won't be much distance. People tend to stand very close to the white walls they're on, which instantly tends to give people kind of a photo fit, a photo line, a live lineup, police lineup look and feel, which is kind of, it's not a great look. If you can avoid that sort of criminal look and feel to your live videos, then I think you're probably winning. So yeah, if you have a backdrop, try to give yourself a bit of distance between yourself and the camera, because it can feel very stark, it can feel very brutal, even on kind of a mobile phone or a webcam. I'm using a slightly different setup, so I've got a DSLR hooked up via HDMI to a kind of a capture card dongle, which allows me to use nice lenses, so I can create a depth of field, so I can knock the background out of focus and give myself a sort of a slightly more the lens I'm using gives everything a lovely look and makes even sort of tired old people like me look kind of look halfway decent. So depending on your camera setup, you will have different creative options available to you. But if you are doing lives or pre-records, don't stand against a stark white wall. And even if you have to do that, give yourself a bit of distance between the wall, yourself, and the camera, if that makes sense. Better still, give yourself a bit of depth between. So, there's all this space behind me, It doesn't detract from what I'm saying. In fact, if anything, it adds a bit of interest to it. but also don't feel like you have to do this stuff inside. There's a whole wide world out there full of really interesting locations that you can make the most of. So don't forget that it is entirely possible to go and record outside. Make sure you've got a mic on. Make sure you find a location that is kind of safe, appropriate to your sort of content, and you're not going to be disturbed, or if you are, it sort of makes sense. If people are walking behind you, that's okay. The outside broadcast is a wonderful thing to do, and I think on these summer evenings, part of me thinks I might like to do one. Oh, actually, that's quite a nice idea. I might do a content and cocktails from the waterfront next week. That would be nice. I might do that. Unless the weather's all broken and it's chucking it down. It's been punishingly hot here in Plymouth. These are absolutely stunning, beautiful, but a little bit on the warm side. I'm not one to complain about the weather, but when you're stuck in a room editing, and you can just look out, you can look out the window and see beautiful sunshine, I think I'd rather be on the beach underneath a parasol reading a good book. That's a different matter, isn't it? So what other locations can you use? Well, really, as long as you can craft something that has a bit of general interest, then and add something to your content, add something to your video. Think of it as an experiment. You can go out and you can find locations that work for you. Don't feel like you have any restrictions on this. This is a place where you can really get creative, and it can be quite fun trying to find locations. Scouting out locations. You might find that you have a now, yeah, okay. So this is a little bit of a personal bugbear, shall we say. I don't like videos from the car, but I know that sometimes the car can be the only place where you can get a bit of peace and quiet. So if you can avoid it, do so. But if it is the only location available to you, LinkedIn, I've seen Mike does quite a nice tongue-in-cheek series of LinkedIn car videos, and I would strongly advise you to go over to Mike's LinkedIn, connect with him, and check out his videos, because it's very good, and it's very funny. So, have we got our? No, but that's just on principle, Scott, surely. Oh man, there's a man whose ubiquity has led him to. I had the pleasure of going to go and see Peter Rabbit 2 at the cinema with my kids, and I did not enjoy it, mostly because of the voice work by Mr. Corden. Sorry, James. You did not bring the right level of vim to Peter Rabbit. Sorry. That's my critique. I'm sure he's going to lose significant sleep over it. Let's I think, does this count as online bullying? I think we should let's be kind. So yeah, my message this evening is be brave with your locations. Take yourself out of the ordinary. Put yourself in some situations where the surroundings in which you are filming add an extra layer of meaning and dimension to what you're saying. Remember that video is about showing as much as it is about telling. In fact, more so, and the visual aspect of the storytelling is so crucial that it seems daft not to at least play around with it, because part of the fun of video is that you can experiment. Oh yes, I remember. Yeah, no, I like those. Those were good. I really like those kind of videos. They feel friendly and conversational. I'm actually thinking of picking up this month a proper 360 camera, because I watched a review. I'll share it in the group actually, because it was amazing, really good, with a review by a camera operator called Phil Bloom, who I had the sort of pleasure of working with on a TV ad. We hired him to be DOP on a TV ad. God, this is getting on for 15 years ago now, and he did a review of this 360-degree camera, and there's some fantastic stuff. I was thinking I might pick one up for myself and do a bit of some 360 video, because you can get some amazing effects. But for that kind of walking, you can do some really interesting effects with a selfie stick, and you can get this amazing sort of oh god, it's really difficult to even sort of articulate the different effects you can get with it, because they're just so odd, and they range from being very kind of normal video through to kind of slightly, because what it does, the 360 camera captures everything, and then you can choose which bits you focus on. Anyway, now I had an interesting question from somebody in my mastermind group, and I thought I'd spend a moment answering it online. I'm just going to message Jenny, answering your question live on Content of Cocktails now. There we go. So Jenny Peach teaches, well, I mean, she has the most amazing business actually. She teaches people. She's a sewing expert basically, and she has built a fantastic business, amongst other things, teaching people how to sew. At a business called Sew Confident. That's sew spelled S-E-W, as you'd expect. And she sent me a question. I have a question here from Mrs. Trellis. Question from Jenny Peach that says, I was wondering if you had any lights for filming you'd recommend. And this is a question I get asked quite often, because lighting can be one of those things that really stumps people. When very often, with the right space, you really need a very minimal lighting setup. So with me, there's no lighting here. I'm just using natural light coming in from the window, and it's actually lighting my face quite nicely. It's a very kind of even light. There's no kind of strong shadows. That's it. It's very minimal. If I wanted to, I could set up some reflectors. What I could do is get a big piece of white cardboard and put it just off the side, and it would reflect the light coming off the window and give a little bit more lift on this side of my face. And a piece of white cardboard or a piece of white polystyrene costs a couple of quid, hardly anything at all. You can go to B&Q and get a large sheet of polystyrene and use that as a reflector. So if you're on a super budget, you can just bounce light around using a big piece of white card or foam core or polystyrene, which is a really great thing to do if you are sort of budget conscious. If you're not so budget conscious, if you want to get some lights done, I would suggest any one of the many kind of mid-range LED light panels. Where's my little light panel? I've lost my light panel. So I mean, this is a teeny tiny example. So this is, I use, particularly if I'm doing overhead stuff, I will use this to give a bit of task lighting for a secondary camera. So in Jenny's case, she's going to want to have video on herself, but obviously she's going to want to have video on the stuff she's doing with her sewing, so we can see what she's doing. And with a small light like this, which you can both kind of change the color temperature and the intensity, you've got quite a lot of control. It's a little rechargeable one. You'll get about an hour's worth of kind of run time from this light. It's tiny but powerful, and you can with the right sort of armature, you can just give a little bit of lift to whatever it is you're working on. But larger light panels, if you've got a larger space and can get some distance, you don't want them too close to your face. So really, I think newer, I can't remember. I don't know how you pronounce it, to be honest. You can get some light panels. They're not pro level, because you just, the pro level ones mostly are way more expensive, because they are designed to be very robust. They're designed to be kind of moved around and take a little bit of on-set abuse. But actually, if you're just using lighting, if you need lighting just for your own purposes, you're unlikely to be taking it up and taking it down and bashing it around and all that kind of stuff. So you can have things which are a little less robust, but still very good lights and everything. And 150 quid will see you with a decent pair of light panels, and you can position those kind of in such a way that you'll get a nice even light on your face, or whoever is talking, and maybe a little task light, sort of a small light like that, just for giving a lift to whatever's happening at a kind of a smaller level. In my download that I have, which is it linked? It probably is. It's a resource that I have, which has got a list of kit that I recommend. You could probably do with an update, so I haven't checked it for a couple of months, but everything in there stands, I would imagine, still. So Jenny, if you're watching this, I will obviously kind of have this conversation with you in person, but it is she's based up in Glasgow, I think, and she's a member of Destination Inspiration, the amazing mastermind that I'm a member of. And we were all down in London relatively recently singing karaoke. I sang karaoke badly. It was great fun. So yeah, you've got lots of different sort of options when it comes to lighting, but yeah, just some light panels if you're feeling like you've got a bit of budget to spend. LED light panels, that is, if you've got some budget. If not, just some big pieces of white card or polystyrene or whatever, just to bounce some light around. Because sometimes, very often in fact, that's all you need, which is great, because cardboard is not expensive. And here's another thing. So if you are bouncing light around, you can control light by using black card or black surfaces to create what's called negative fill, where if I put a piece of black cardboard there, I would be reducing the amount of light that's being reflected onto my face. And it's a really nice way to give a bit of extra control to the lighting around you. Clever. Controlling light is kind of one of the absolute keys of good video, and it's a skill that is hard to master, but is worth looking into, particularly for when you're using kind of mobile phones and things, because they're not perfect cameras. but if you can control the light and how the light sort of is entering the lens and all that kind of stuff, then you will have an awful lot more kind of success in creating the kind of images that you want to create. Is that all making sense? Hit me with some questions. If you've got any questions about video, give me a question. I'm going to mix myself another drink because that was very nice. So yeah, so the Americano, it's a good drink. I mean, it's a classic cocktail. Bit of ice. I'm going to go for the Campari version, which is a slightly more kind of yeah, it's slightly more bitter flavour. Oh, God, I can't bring it up. Memory, it's one of those smells that takes me back instantly to Italy. Yeah, which is, I'm aware, a fantastically pretentious thing to say. I'm fully aware of that. Oh, it takes me straight back. Mike's sharing some of his content. We like it. Good, man. Follow, yeah. I'm so glad to see you're doing. Now, Mike, here's the thing. Are you using YouTube Shorts? That's a question. Let me know. Because if you're not, you should be. I received a really interesting email from, I don't know if you're connected to Sam Barefoot. She's an Instagram expert. And her weekly email came through. Mike says, nope, I'm not. Well, take a look at YouTube Shorts, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by the results you get. And all it will take is a very kind of, I'm just in the process of recording 365 30-second videos at the moment, with the idea of being able to put out a quick tip every day for the whole year. It's quite a lot of work, but around short form video, I'll find the email because it was a really interesting read, and let me just Barefoot. I can't remember if Sam is a member of this group, but this was it. So on 6 days ago, on the 16th, she sent over an email, and it was about sort of Instagram's kind of relentless march towards video supremacy. And there'd been a presentation earlier in the year that was aimed at influencers on Instagram, and it was basically Instagram telling them the most kind of the ideal content mix to kind of get the algorithm working for them as quickly as possible. Cheers. You see, I like that. It's a slightly more bitter taste. And it makes for pretty interesting reading, actually. So if you are in any doubt at all about where and how important, which platforms value video and how important they think it is to their platforms, this is kind of this is kind of interesting reading. So Instagram suggests to get maximum juice from the algorithm, you put 3 posts per week. So that's just, normal image posts. So only 3 posts per week, 8 to 10 stories per week. And those, stories are easy to do. 4 to 7 reels per week, and 1 to 3 IGTVs per week. And that, apparently, that mix will kind of supercharge your sort of Instagram visibility. So I'm thinking once I've got this kind of crazy, it's crazy. So I do daily quick tips in my Facebook group, Grow Your Business with Video, and I thought, well, short form video is something I want to experiment with. So Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. There's a lot of traction to be had there at the moment. What if I recorded 365 30-second videos? So I had a piece of content every day going out, tackling a short, just a very short tip. And that is the experiment I'm going to run is I'm going to try and hit that algorithm, kind of optimize in an optimal way. I was going to try streaming tonight on Instagram, but I completely forgot, and I only remembered as I was thinking about it just now. And I know for a lot of you, the prospect of kind of that level of content is just crazy. It's, this starts to get into the territory where if you are producing that level of content, you're practically running a video production company. You've almost got no time to do anything else in your video. So you've got to be really smart about your content creation. You've got to be strategic. You've got to know what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it. And you've got to be good at repurposing. You've got to be able to take your content and maximize the value of it. Because the reason why I've alighted on 30 seconds is so that I can hit all those platforms, all those short form platforms, and create a whole lot of top of funnel stuff, that kind of content which is going to be a driver for people into my world. Because I've got another launch coming up. We're doing another challenge starting on the 20th of September, which sounds like a million years away, but I'm sure we'll be here very quickly. So that will be running into the launch of Video Academy 2, which is, I don't know how it compares to Police Academy 2, but I'm sure it'll be better. Video Academy 1, absolute classic. Dad jokes come as free. What do we got there? So Mike says, Scott says I'm using them a bit. Yeah, I mean, this is it. I think if you're sort of using video, it's very easy to kind of repurpose existing content into short form content. It says, to be fair, I've not done any new video for a while, so yeah, I mean, you've been moving house and all that kind of jazz, Mike. So you've got reasons, haven't you? Yeah. So that's just some thoughts, some broad thoughts. I did, 20 in a row. It's hard when you do those. You hit them hard, and you kind of got to. I think my record, I did 30. I've done 30 in a row so far, or thereabouts, and that was hard. And to be honest, past about 15, they weren't great. I'm probably going to have to redo some. I'm really at my free slot. I think you should. I think this. I've got a friend, a guy called Andrew Chilvers. Him and his son Kit set up the Dad Jokes Instagram channel. I can't remember how many. It's Dad Jokes Instagram. I think he's a member of this group. Actually, it'd be fascinating to talk to him about this. Dad Jokes. Dad Says Jokes. They've got 2.2 million followers, and there's I saw that they've got a book out in. I think it was released last year sometime, which is just it's just dad jokes. So there is an appetite. There's an appetite for Bobbin's jokes. I'd go for it. I think you'd clean up, Mike. Right, I think I'm probably going to bring this to an end because I am feeling the heat in here, and I may just collapse from heat exhaustion. And nobody wants to see that. Thank you for being here this evening, guys. It's a pleasure as always. I haven't really got anything to bring. Oh, that's it. So I knew there was something to talk about. So the membership that I have, It's going to be changing. So for the last few months, I've been running, the last kind of 6 months, I've been running a membership, and it's been great. But the reality is the way people use it doesn't necessarily mesh up with the way I deliver it. So I've kind of rethought it, and the idea is that it will be much more of a self-guided process. So it's just going to be like $7.99 a month. You'll have access to the training, and there'll be a monthly live, a monthly Q&A live from me, and it's all very all very straightforward, all very kind of very easy, not intensive, and people can be very self-guided about how they go through it, because looking at the numbers and looking at the stats, I've always taken the view that actually I need to run these things in the way people are going to use them. So Video Academy, which is my sort of signature course, is that intensive kind of 12-week program where we go from sort of through all aspects of video content creation, from sort of planning all the way through to kind of creation and delivery and all that kind of jazz. Video Skills Made Easy is very much about getting your skills up to speed fast, but in a self-guided way. So I wanted to make those things different and give people different ways in. So I haven't got any, there's no sales page yet, there's no way to get in yet, because I haven't sort of launched it. So I was gonna sort of put it out there in August, once I got a bit more content back up in there. But Video Skills Made Easy is really just about that. It's about having access to a course, which is a series of courses which are really all about the nuts and bolts of video, how to get started, how to be consistent, all these things that people want to be able to do, but want to be able to go through it at their own pace. So that's it. You don't get much me, but what you do get is lots of pre-recorded me, which may or may not be people's ideal situation or idea of hell. I don't know. So we'll see. But I'm going to be talking about that a bit more. Mo, no. So hello, how you doing? No, not at all. That's a nice picture. Where was that taken, Mo? No, the cocktails will always be free. Mo and Jeff came down to visit last week, and it was absolutely lovely to see them. Haven't seen you for so long, and came to come and stay, and we went out to have a meal, and Una and I had a lovely time. So thank you for coming. Oh no. Oh dear. I'm sorry to hear that. Drink lots of water. That sounds bad. I'll drink one for you. So that's it. I'm ringing off tonight. We will meet again this time next week, and I will be hopefully a little less mentally overwhelmed by the heat and a bit more functioning. So yeah, that's it. Nothing particularly to talk about, but other than to say thank you very much for being here, and I will see you all again next week. Take care. Bye bye.